For Parshas VaEira, we want to study first a pasuk with the Meshech Chochma in Shmos Perek Vav pasuk Yud Gimel. Vaydaber Hashem el Moshe ve'el Aaron vayitzavem el bnei Yisrael v'el Paro melech Mitzrayim lahotzi es bnei Yisrael me'eretz Mitzrayim. So I understand that Hashem is commanding Paro lahotzi es bnei Yisrael me'eretz Mitzrayim, but what's vayitzavem el bnei Yisrael? Vayitzavem el bnei Yisrael. This is something that really doesn't make sense. The Mefarshim have a lot of problems with this. It's a command given to Bnei Yisrael and to Paro, as if it's one sivui for both Bnei Yisrael and Paro. I mean, the pasuk says, "Vaitzavem el Bnei Yisrael v'el Paro." So Rashi says, let's just read Rashi because that's where we always start. Lefisha Omar Moshe Vani Arel Sfasayim Tzirif LaKadosh Baruch Hu's Aaron Liosol Lepel Lemelis Vaitzavem El Bnei Yisrael Tzivam Aleim Lahanhigam B'Nachas V'Lispol Oson V'El Paro Melech Mitzrayim Tzivam Olav Lachlok Lo Kavod B'Divreihem Zeu Midrash Pshuto Tzivam Al Dvar Yisrael Val Shlichuso El Paro. So let's just try to summarize the Mefarshim. Rashi, first of all, is telling us, and maybe we'll mention some other Mefarshim, the Sfarno, that Hashem charges them regarding the matter of Israel and with regard to God's mission to Paro. The content, the substance of the command is only stated later. And that's going to come up after we list the entire lineage of Reuven, Shimon, and Levi, etc. So Rashi quotes a medrash that in fact lahotzi, when the pasuk says lahotzi is bnei Yisrael, is a command that Moshe and Aaron were to deliver to Paro. Vaitzavem el bnei Yisrael should be understood that Moshe and Aaron are being told by Hashem to lead bnei Yisrael calmly, to be patient with them. El, in this sense, means that Hashem commanded them concerning Bnei Yisrael, how to treat Bnei Yisrael. And to be consistent, Rashi says similarly, V'el Paro melech Mitzrayim, accord honor to Paro because his position entitles him to that kavod. The Sfarno, on the other hand, interprets Vaitzavem el Bnei Yisrael el Paro. Hashem is now appointing them as leaders, the masters of Israel and Paro. You, Moshe and Aaron, will be the leaders and the masters of both Israel and Paro regarding the release of Bnei Yisrael. Paro would be subservient to them, and eventually he's going to listen to them. And Bnei Yisrael will as well. And now we want to take a look at the Meshech Chochma here in Perek Vav, pasuk Yud Gimel. Itochen ki gam oz b'Mitzrayim hayu gdolei ha'uma asher hayu sarim nichbadim ve'afratiyim. These are the noblemen and the aristocrats in Mitzrayim. Ve'hem hayu mekshabdim es b'nei Yisrael li'avadim. So it could be that the higher echelon of Egyptian society, the aristocrats and the noblemen, they were the ones who were subjugating and enslaving the Jewish people. Shemachru ha-mitzrim lahem. V'ulai hayu hema hashlosha shvatim. So now it's interesting that Rabbi Simcha is offering a suggestion that amongst the Jewish people, there were Gedolei Ha'uma. And they would sell Jews to the Mitzrim. I mean, again, this sounds very horrendous. And perhaps they belonged to the three Shvatim of Reuven, Shimon, and Levi, and Higu Tzrara b'Mitzrayim. They had a special status of Srara in Mitzrayim. And he quotes a medrash here in Parsha Yud Gimel, Levi lo haya b'shibud Mitzrayim. So Levi for sure was not part of the shibud. He was not subject to the slavery. V'lachein lo natal nachla ba'aretz. V'chein Ruvain lo natal rak VaEira yarden. So it could be that Ruvain also is not part of the shibud, and therefore he would not inherit a part of Eretz Yisrael. Shimon is kaimal of Achalken v'Yakov. He would be spread out amongst the various areas in Eretz Yisrael, Eretz Canaan. Umehem hayu b'nei chorin har b'nei v'sarim. So many of them were free from labor, and they served as officers. Behem hayu mishabdim es Yisrael animkarim lehem minamemchola shel Paro. So Paro would sell Jewish slaves to these three shvatim. Unbelievable chiddush here, that the command to free the slaves was addressed not just to Paro, but even to Bnei Yisrael, these three shvatim. That would explain why samach l'zeh yichus hashlosha shvatim, right immediately afterwards, these three shvatim are singled out for yichus. And u'misayim hu Aaron u'Moshe. Those are the last, the last people to be mentioned here. Hu Aaron u'Moshe. Asher Omar Hashem lahem hotzios b'nei Yisrael me'eretz Mitzrayim al tzivosam. Sheyu kol mishpacha v'shevet tzava b'fnei atzmo v'lo yishtabdu Yisrael zeh lezeh. Every nation, every shevet would have its own independence and would not have to be slaves to another shevet. And the Yerushalmi says, "Vayitzavim es b'nei Yisrael." What does this pasuk mean? Says the Yerushalmi in Rosh Hashanah Per Gimel, "Matzivam al Parshas shiluach avodim," meaning that avodim should be sent free. Sheyishlechu avdeim miYisrael sheshibdu tachas yodam, and it's a reference to those who are tachas yodam.